Did you know that every challenge you've faced, every door that has closed, and even the deepest pains in your life have a greater purpose? Today, God wants to speak directly to your heart. Something grand is coming, and you need to be prepared for this divine calling. Imagine for a moment, how many times have you felt lost without strength, questioning the meaning of everything you're going through? Why God? Why me? This question echoes in the hearts of many, perhaps in yours as well. But what if I told you that all these trials are not the end of the road, but the beginning of a divine transformation? Have you ever wondered why certain doors close? Why some opportunities don't materialize, even when you do everything right? The truth is that God hasn't abandoned you. He is preparing something much greater. Your timing is not God's timing. But trust, what He has for you is infinitely better than anything you could imagine. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, says the Lord. Isaiah 55:8. How many times have you been on the verge of giving up? How many nights have you cried in silence without anyone knowing? God has seen every tear. He has heard every prayer, even those whispered in desperate tones. He knows your heart better than you do. Now, I want you to do something simple yet very significant. Write in the comments, "God, I trust you." By doing this, you not only declare your faith, but also create space for God to act powerfully in your life. If this message has touched your heart, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. Here, we share words that strengthen your faith, bring hope, and remind you that you are never alone. Turn on notifications so that God can speak to you whenever you need it. God is calling you to something greater. Often, in the busyness of life, we overlook the small signs He gives us. An unexpected encounter, a word that seemed random but struck deep within your soul, or even a difficulty that felt unbearable but made you stronger. All of this is God preparing the ground for something grand. You are not here by chance. There is a purpose, and He is working silently behind the scenes of your life, even when everything seems chaotic. Trust the process. Life is not linear, and the answers we seek don't always come in the way we expect. Have you noticed how pain can be a silent teacher? What seems impossible to overcome today may tomorrow become a reminder of your strength. God doesn't allow you to go through something you cannot bear. He upholds you, even when it seems He is far away. The truth is, He has never been closer. Now close your eyes for a moment and reflect. How many things have happened in your life that seemed like an end but were actually a new beginning? That lost opportunity that later led you to something even better. That relationship that ended but made room for true love to enter. It's not easy to see this in moments of pain, but God has a perspective that goes beyond what our eyes can perceive. He sees the bigger picture. He knows what is best for you. If you are here now listening to this message, it's not a coincidence. God has a perfect plan for your life. He is shaping you like a potter molds clay. This can feel uncomfortable at times. It can hurt. But remember, it is in the fire that gold is purified. God is preparing you for something much greater, something you can't even imagine. Feel the peace that comes from fully trusting in God. Take a deep breath. Set aside worry, anxiety, and fear. None of these can add a single day to your life. On the contrary, these emotions steal your peace and obscure your vision of the miracles happening around you. Believe, you are loved. You are special. You are a masterpiece in God's hands. Write this on your heart. I am not alone. God is with me. In moments of silence, He is by your side. In moments of pain, He is carrying you. In moments of joy, He is smiling with you. Believe that something incredible is coming. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but it is coming. God is never late and He never fails. As you listen to this message, feel embraced by a love greater than anything in this world. God's love is unconditional, transformative, and eternal. He loves you just as you are, but He also loves you too much to leave you where you are. He wants to elevate you, transform you, and bring you closer to Him. Now, I want to invite you to be part of this journey with us. Subscribe to the channel so we can continue bringing messages of hope and faith to your life. Share this message with someone who also needs to hear it. Just like you, many people are waiting for a word that touches their hearts. Be God's instrument in someone else's life. God has been working in every detail of your life. Even when everything seems silent, when answers don't come, and your heart is full of doubts, He is acting. Often God's silence is preparation for something extraordinary. It's hard to understand this when we are in the midst of a storm, but it is there in the chaos that God shapes us the most. He teaches us to trust, to rest, and to release the control we so often insist on holding. Every tear you have shed has been seen. Every prayer, even those uttered amidst sobs, has been heard. Nothing escapes God's watchful eye. He is the Father who never abandons, the friend who never fails, the strength that upholds us. And it's He who is telling you now, trust. What I am preparing for you is much greater than you can imagine. The struggles you face are not punishments but opportunities. God transforms pain into learning, challenges into victories, and impossibilities into miracles. But for this to happen, trust is necessary. Trust that He knows what He is doing, even when we don't understand. It's not easy, but that's exactly where faith comes in. Faith doesn't need proof, because it relies on the certainty that God is faithful. Think of all the times something seemed lost and suddenly an unexpected solution emerged. Think of the moments when everything seemed dark, but a small light began to shine. Those were not coincidences. It was God showing that He is in control. He is the God who makes pathways where none exist, who opens doors that no one can close, and who turns the desert into fertile land. Today, He is asking you to believe, even without seeing, even without understanding. Just believe. He is faithful to fulfill every promise He has made. He does not forget His children, and you are His beloved child. It doesn't matter what has happened in the past. It doesn't matter how many times you have erred or strayed. God's love is not based on what we do, but rather on who He is. He loves you with an unconditional love. As you listen to these words, allow the peace of God to flood your heart. Feel yourself embraced by a love that surpasses all understanding, a love that does not demand, does not judge, but restores. This is the love God has for you. He wants to lift you up, strengthen you, and guide you toward the purpose He has already planned. Do not be afraid to take the next step, for God is with you. He will never leave you. God is moving something in your life at this very moment. Even if you cannot see it, even if you do not feel it, He is preparing the ground for His plans to unfold. Often we are tempted to think that we are alone in our battles, but the truth is that God never abandons us. He is like the wind. You cannot see Him, but you feel His presence. He works in silence, yet His deeds echo powerfully. The struggles you face are not the end. They are the path through which you are being prepared to receive something much greater. What seems difficult today will tomorrow become a testimony. What makes you cry today will someday be the reason for your joy. God never wastes pain. Every tear you shed is like a seed He plants, and in due time those seeds will bear abundant fruit. So do not give up. Do not give up on fighting, believing, or dreaming. Stay firm. The journey will not always be easy, but it will always be worth it. God never promised that life would be without difficulties, but He did promise to be with us through them all. He promised to strengthen us, guide us, and sustain us. And when it seems we are at our limit, when we have no strength left, that is when He intervenes with the supernatural. He is our strength, our rock, our refuge in times of trouble. Think of the stories of so many people who faced unimaginable difficulties yet rose up with a strength that can only come from God. Reflect on how the greatest victories often come after the toughest battles. This is how God works. He transforms the impossible into reality. He turns weakness into strength, sadness into joy, and darkness into light. At this moment, God is asking you to trust, to let go of fear, doubt, and anxiety and simply trust. He knows what He is doing. He sees what you cannot see, and everything He does is out of love for you. Even when it seems like nothing is happening, He is moving mountains for you. He is opening doors, creating opportunities, and writing a story that goes beyond your deepest dreams. Your life is precious to God. You are a masterpiece in His hands. Do not let difficulties make you forget this. Do not let the voices of fear and insecurity drown out the truth of who you are. You are a beloved child of God. He chose you, set you apart, and called you by name. He has plans for your peace, prosperity, and abundant life. All you need to do is believe and keep walking. Now, more than ever, is the time to strengthen your faith, to seek God with all your heart, soul, and strength. He is waiting for you. He wants to show you great and hidden things, things you could never imagine. He wants to give you the best, but for that, He needs you to trust Him completely. Trust in His love. Trust in His plan. God is so close to you right now. He knows every thought, every worry in your heart. He understands what you feel, even the things you cannot express in words. There is not a single moment when He is not by your side. When you cry, He is there. When you feel lost, He is the light that illuminates your path. Even when it seems distant, He will never abandon you. All God wants is for you to trust. Trust that He is working in your life, even in moments when you feel like nothing is happening. His timing is perfect. He is never late, never wrong, and never fails to fulfill a promise. Every promise of God is a seal of faithfulness, and He never fails. You can rest in this truth. You can surrender completely because He takes care of every detail. Often in our humanity, we want quick answers. We want solutions to arrive on our timeline, in our way. But God, in His infinite wisdom, sees beyond. He knows the future. He knows what is best for you. Often He protects you from what you think you want because He has something infinitely greater and better prepared. It is hard to accept this in moments of waiting, but trust that waiting on God is never in vain. What He is preparing is beautiful, special, and just for you. He knows exactly what you need. Even before you ask, He sees your needs, your pains, your most intimate dreams. He wants to bless you, but He also wants you to grow, to mature, to become a stronger person filled with faith and love. He is shaping you so that you can receive everything He has already prepared. While you wait, do not be discouraged. Wait with confidence, joy, and faith. Wait knowing that God is in control. Each moment of waiting is an opportunity for growth, to draw closer to God, to build an unshakable faith. And when the moment arrives, you will see that it was all worth it. What God has for you cannot be taken away, because it is His. It is eternal, perfect, and wonderful. Look around you and notice the small signs of God's care. The sunrise, a gentle breeze, the embrace of someone you love, a word of encouragement at the right moment. God is in all these details. He reveals Himself in so many ways, but sometimes we are so busy, so distracted, that we do not notice. Today, take a moment to breathe deeply, to feel His presence, and to give thanks. Gratitude opens doors. It transforms the heart, strengthens faith, and connects us even more to God. And now, more than ever, I invite you to draw near to Him, not just with words, but with your heart. Say a simple but sincere prayer. Tell God that you trust Him, that you surrender your life into His hands. He is waiting to hear from you. He wants to wrap you in His love, to give you peace, hope, and a joy that does not depend on circumstances. God continues to call you to something beyond what your eyes can see right now. He knows the dreams you carry in your heart, the fears that hold you back, and the doubts that sometimes cloud your faith. But He also knows the strength He placed inside you, a strength that does not come from circumstances or people, but from the Holy Spirit who dwells in you, empowering you with every step. The journey will not always be easy, but every step you take toward God is a declaration of trust, a trust that He knows what He is doing, even when your vision is limited, a trust that, even in moments when everything seems to go wrong, He is aligning every piece for something greater. The process may be uncomfortable, but it is in the midst of this process that God reveals His glory. Sometimes the greatest battle we face is within ourselves. It's the struggle between trusting or giving in to fear, between believing in God's promises or listening to the voices of doubt. But today, God is calling you to a place of rest. He invites you to let go of the weight you've been carrying alone. It's not your responsibility to solve everything. It's not your job to have all the answers. Your only task is to trust and keep moving forward. He will take care of the rest. Allow yourself to hear His voice. It doesn't come with shouts or pressures, but in a gentle whisper, deep within your heart. A voice that says, "I am here. Do not be afraid. I am with you every step of the way." This voice calms the storm, restores peace, and gives us the assurance that we are not alone. It is this voice that sustains you through the darkest nights, reminding you that you are loved and that there is a greater purpose in everything. And as you walk, trust also in God's timing. He is never in a hurry, but He is also never late. He works in a timing that is perfect even when it seems slow to us. It is in this timing that He prepares you, teaches you, and strengthens you. And when you finally reach what He has for you, it will be greater and better than anything you could imagine. What He does is always perfect because it comes from His heart. Now let the peace of God fill your being. Breathe deeply and feel His love wrapping around you like a warm embrace. Remember that you don't have to carry everything alone. Remember that He is taking care of you. On good days, give thanks. On difficult days, trust. And in every moment, keep seeking His presence. It is your strength, your refuge, your security. God has been watching every step you take, every moment you thought about giving up, every time discouragement tried to take hold of your heart. He saw when you struggled against your own thoughts, when doubt seemed to speak louder, and yet you chose to keep going. This courage, this determination, even if small, is proof that God has placed something special inside you. He never asked you to be perfect, only to trust in Him. Now, He is calling you to a new level of faith, to a place where fear no longer dictates your decisions and where hope is greater than any circumstance. God wants to show you how much you are loved, how much you are valued. Even when the world tries to make you feel small, He reminds you, you are the work of His hands, chosen and set apart for a purpose that no one else can fulfill. The answers you seek may seem distant, but God is in control. He never forgets a promise. He does not fail and He does not change. While you wait, He is working. While you pray, He is preparing. And while you trust, He is transforming. His timing is perfect, and He always arrives right on time. Often, what seems like a delay is, in fact, God protecting you from something or preparing you for something even greater. It's important to remember that you are not alone. The feeling of loneliness can be overwhelming, but God is with you every step of the way. When you don't see a way out, He is there. When you feel like your strength is running out, He is the one who carries you. His love is so deep, so intense that it cannot be measured. It's a love that never abandons you, even when you feel lost or incapable. Each day you have the chance to draw closer to Him. It doesn't matter what you've been through or what mistakes you've made. God isn't counting your failures. He's counting your effort to move forward. He rejoices when He sees you seeking His presence, surrendering, and trusting. He is a Father who delights in every small step you take toward Him, and He celebrates every victory of yours, no matter how small it may seem. Now is the moment to release everything that has been weighing on your heart. Talk to God as you would with a close friend. Open your heart without reservations, without fear of being judged. He already knows everything about you and loves you unconditionally. It is in this love that you can find rest. It is in this love that you find the strength to continue. As you reflect on this message, realize that God is speaking to you. It's no coincidence that you are here now. He wants to remind you that you have a purpose, that He has something grand reserved for your life. All He asks is that you trust, that you don't give up, that you keep believing. Even when it's hard, even when everything seems against you, know that God is faithful. He will fulfill what He has promised. With each new day, God renews in you strengths you may not even notice. These small, almost invisible impulses are what keep you going when everything seems to be against you. It's His gentle touch on your soul, reminding you that even in your weaknesses you are strong because He is your fortress. There are moments when challenges seem insurmountable, but it's precisely then that God acts, not noisily, but quietly, building something you cannot yet see. Have you ever noticed how in the toughest moments something unexpected happens? It could be a word, a gesture, or even the remembrance of something that brings you peace. These are not mere coincidences. They are the subtle ways God says, "I'm here. Don't give up." He does not ignore your dilemmas or dismiss your struggles. On the contrary, He is so close that even your deepest thoughts are known to Him. Life has its ups and downs, and no one is immune to difficulties. But how we handle these moments can be transformative. When you hand your worries over to God, it doesn't mean that all your problems will disappear like magic, but you will find a peace that surpasses understanding. It's this peace that helps you face situations with courage and continue walking, even without a clear view of the destination. How many times have you looked back and realized that what seemed like the worst moment of your life actually led you to something better? That's how God works. He doesn't waste anything. Every tear, every weight, every difficulty has a purpose. It's not to weaken you, but to prepare you, to teach you something you will need in the future. God is crafting your story with details that, for now, you may not understand, but which will make perfect sense in due time. When answers don't come, when silence seems to be the only response, know that God is working, not on your timeline, but on the perfect timeline. He isn't rushed, because what He has for you is complete, whole, and greater than anything you could imagine. There is indescribable beauty in trusting this process, even when everything seems out of control. You may feel like you are fighting alone, but you have never been. Since day one, God has been walking alongside you. He is not just a spectator of your life. He is the one who sustains every step. Even when you stumble, He lifts you up. Even when you drift away, He remains, patiently waiting. This love is what gives us the strength to start over, to try again, to believe that better days are ahead. Life is full of twists and turns, and we don't always understand the reasons behind each of them. But God doesn't ask you to understand everything. He invites you to trust that every curve in the road, every detour, every closed door is leading you to something He has prepared with love and care. It is difficult to let go of control, but when you do, you make room for the best God has in store for you. There is incredible power in simply living one day at a time, knowing that God is already taking care of tomorrow. When you focus on the present, on what is right in front of you now, you realize that there is enough grace to handle what is happening. It's not about having all the answers, but about trusting in the one who does. And God, in His infinite wisdom, knows exactly what you need. Even in the fiercest storms, there is beauty, because it is in the storm that we learn to appreciate the calm. It is in the darkness that we understand the value of light. And it is through difficulties that we discover just how strong we are, because God sustains us. He gives us the strength we need not to escape the storm, but to go through it and come out even stronger on the other side. Remember that your journey is unique. What God has for you is different from what He has for others, and that is something wonderful. He created you with a purpose, with gifts and talents that only you possess. And as you walk, even if it's in small steps, God is aligning everything. He is opening paths you don't even know exist, preparing encounters, opportunities, and moments that will bring you closer to what He has for you. Commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will act. Psalm 37:5. This promise is the assurance that when you place your trust in God, He takes care of every detail. There's no need to know how or when. Simply trust that He is looking after you. He will not let you lack anything you truly need, and in His time everything will be done perfectly. Allow yourself to live with this confidence. This doesn't mean you'll never face challenges again, but that those challenges will not overcome you, because greater than any difficulty is the God who is with you. He is your strength, your refuge, your security, and He calls you every day to believe that something great is on the way. There is something powerful about knowing that God works in the details, even in the simplest and seemingly insignificant things. Often we become so focused on grand achievements, on big dreams, that we forget to notice the small blessings around us. That unexpected conversation, the sunrise on a tough day, a smile that arrives just when it's needed. These are reminders that God is present, even when the heart is restless. Life doesn't always follow the script we've written. There are abrupt changes, unexpected detours, moments when everything seems out of control, but it is in these moments that we learn to depend on God in a deeper way. It's easy to trust when everything is going well, when the paths are clear and answers come quickly. But trusting when everything is uncertain, when questions seem greater than answers, is an act of faith that transforms. Each person has their own journey, and God writes unique stories for each one. Your story may be in a difficult chapter right now, but that doesn't define the whole plot. The author of your life is perfect and knows how to weave even moments of pain into something beautiful. What seems to be an unbearable burden today may, in the future, become the foundation of your strength, the root of a testimony that inspires others. God does not waste any part of your journey. There is something incredible in the fact that God never loses control. What seems like chaos to us is often part of a plan that we cannot yet see. He is always in command, guiding every step with precision. Even when you feel lost, He already knows exactly where He is taking you. This assurance that He is sovereign brings a peace that the world cannot offer, a calm that sustains even on the most turbulent days. Sometimes, life teaches us to wait, and waiting can be one of the hardest things because it requires patience, trust, and surrender. But waiting is never a wasted time when we are in God's hands. While you wait, He works in you, shaping your heart, strengthening your faith, teaching lessons that will be essential in the future. It's not just about the destination, it's about who you become during the journey. God also teaches us through the people around us. Sometimes He places someone in our lives to remind us that we are not alone, to offer support, advice, or even just a simple word of encouragement. These connections are a reflection of His love, a reminder that He cares about every detail of our walk. Allow yourself to be touched by these gestures, and when possible, be a source of love and strength for someone else. It's interesting to think about how God's timing is so different from ours. We, in our impatience, want immediate solutions, quick answers, instant changes. But God operates at a different pace, a pace that is perfect. He sees the whole picture, while we only see a part. That's why trust is so essential. Trust means believing that He is working even when we see nothing happening. There is a beauty in surrender. It is not a sign of weakness, but of courage. To surrender means to acknowledge that there are things we cannot control, but that God can. He is capable of transforming impossible situations, opening paths where none exist, renewing what seemed lost. When you hand over your fears, worries, and dreams to Him, something shifts within you, not because the problems disappear, but because you begin to see with different eyes. Jesus taught us about the importance of trusting and resting. He said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Matthew 11:28. This is such a powerful promise, so full of love. He does not ask us to carry everything alone. He invites us to come to Him, to lay down our burdens, to find rest. This rest is not just physical, but a deep peace that envelops us, even in the most challenging circumstances. Each day is a new opportunity to start over. No matter how many times you've fallen, how many times you've erred, how many times you've felt like you failed, God does not see you through your failures. He sees you through His love. And His love is perfect, unchanging, infinite. He does not reject you, does not abandon you. He welcomes you, restores you, transforms you. And it is this love that gives us the strength to continue. Allow yourself to believe that something new is emerging, even if it seems difficult right now, even if circumstances suggest otherwise. Trust that God is at work. He never stops, never gives up, and never loses sight of His plans for you. You are loved, valued, and your life has a purpose greater than you can imagine. As you move forward, remember that every step, no matter how small it seems, is significant. Each moment of trust is an act of faith that moves mountains, opens pathways, and brings you closer to God. He is with you, today and always, guiding you with love and grace, and that is all you need to keep going. Every step you take is an opportunity for God to reveal something new. Sometimes we don't realize it, but it is in moments of difficulty that He plants the seeds of a future we cannot yet imagine. What now seems like a loss and endless wait could be the beginning of something that will change your life in extraordinary ways. God always starts with the invisible, shaping what is not yet ready to manifest. It is a work of love, done with patience, because He knows the perfect timing for everything. There are days when the heart feels heavy, and the feeling of emotional fatigue seems overwhelming. But it is in those moments that God wants to carry you. He does not expect you to face everything alone. He is the strength that supports you when yours runs out, the light that guides you when darkness threatens to take over. And He does this not because you need to earn it, but because He is a Father who never gives up on caring for His children. When we look at our lives through human eyes, it is easy to focus on what is lacking, what didn't go right, the mistakes we made. But God sees us differently. He does not view your failures as a final point. He sees a willing heart, a life full of potential, a person He created with love and purpose. No matter where you have been or what has happened, God always has a way back for you. God's paths are not always the easiest, but they are the safest. They may seem unfamiliar, even frightening, but when you surrender to His will, you discover peace even amid uncertainty. It's like walking through a dark valley knowing that His hand is there to guide you. You may not see what lies beyond the next step, but you know you are heading in the right direction. Faith does not eliminate challenges, but it changes the way you face them. It gives you the strength to continue even when the situation seems impossible, because faith is not about what you can do, but about believing in what God can do, and He can do far more than we ask or imagine. He has the power to transform lives, restore hearts, and bring hope where there seemed to be only despair. There is something deeply comforting in knowing that you don't have to have all the answers. God does not ask you to solve everything, but to trust that He has it all under control. Even when the days seem long and the nights even longer, He is taking care of you. He sees what you cannot see, knows the details that escape your understanding, and He is preparing something that will make it all worthwhile. It's amazing how, when we look back, we often realize how God has already acted in our lives. Things that seemed meaningless at the time now fit into a larger purpose. Every encounter, every decision, every door that opened or closed contributed to who you are today. God is always at work, even when we don't notice, and the story He is writing is filled with unique and special details. You may be facing a difficult decision right now. Perhaps you are waiting for an answer, a sign, something to give you clarity about the next step. Don't worry if things aren't clear yet. God is not in a hurry. He knows that every stage has its time, and He will never leave you without direction when it's the right moment to act. For now, He calls you to rest and trust. Resting in God is not just physical, but also emotional and spiritual. It's the moment you stop carrying the weight alone and hand everything over to Him. And in that rest you find renewed strength, courage to move forward, and the assurance that you are not alone. He is your refuge, your fortress, the shelter where you can always find security. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. This promise is not just a beautiful word, but a declaration of His care for your life. He is already ahead, preparing the future, opening pathways, creating opportunities you can't even imagine. Each passing day is a chance to trust more, to draw closer to God, to live with the certainty that you are in the hands of the Creator of the universe. He does not overlook any detail, and your life is too precious to be left to chance. Therefore, even in moments of waiting, silence, and uncertainty, know that He is working for your good. You are loved, deeply loved, and this love is greater than any difficulty you may face. It sustains you, strengthens you, gives you hope. He is the reason you can rise every day even when everything seems difficult. Because in the end, God will always be your strength, your peace, and your reason to believe that something wonderful is coming. Today is the moment to decide, to leave behind doubts, fears, and uncertainties. God is calling you to something greater, to a life of purpose, peace, and true connection with Him. Open your heart, surrender your challenges, and allow Him to transform everything that seems lost into a testimony of victory. You are not alone. There is a divine plan for your life, and the journey begins with a step of faith. Subscribe to the channel and leave a like to continue receiving messages that renew your soul. Share this message and be an instrument of hope, bringing the light of God to those who need it most. Together, let's spread the love and strength that only He can provide.